You guys know we are being live on YouTube today.
Okay, well, super snazzy. Hope my mustache is clean.
I think we're still waiting on a few people. Paul won't be with us.
And,
I did not hear from Aaliyah, so I don't know if she's going to be here.
Is Susan Mutterman?
She accepted the invite.
Um,
So I don't know if she's going to be here for sure or not.
Okay, well, at least we have, we have at least as many members as we've had in the past. There's always somebody missing, and I guess Paul is planning on, has resigned, is that correct?
He has, yes.
That's too bad. We almost had a full house.
For about a week.
Well, when I spoke to him, I told him that we'd like him to stay, but he had other things that were going on that he was going to be very busy with, so.
Yeah, he's busy with that project in Captain. Well, I think it is noon, so why don't we go ahead and if somebody else pops in, we'll just bring them in, work them right into the thing. We'll call to order and agenda over here. I guess we could call for approval of the agenda. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? See none. Any abstentions? Okay, approval of the minutes. Tim, thanks for sending out the minutes again. I'm sure I had a copy somewhere, but it was very timely to get them right before the meeting. The minutes, that was the minutes of the September 2nd meeting. Does anybody have any changes to suggest to the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes of September 2nd.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, same sign, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public comments, is there any public comments this time around?
I received no public comments.
Okay. Old business. I'm not sure what that was. Do we have anything planned on your old business?
I don't think that we had anything planned from old
We didn't
business.
table anything from the previous meeting, so.
And I wasn't sure of that, so I put that in there.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to new business then. I'd like to start out just by doing a quick introductions for everybody because we have some new faces. And I'd like to welcome Maria and Sarah. Yeah. And I see Leah has joined us.
Yes.
And so has Susan.
Okay, great. Great.
Hi. Happy
We've got a
New
crowd.
Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Okay, we were just about to start on the new business and wanted to go through with introductions. So why don't I start with me? I'm James Pollock, recently retired from Eastern New Mexico University, the Verdoso campus. I was the campus librarian there. now I'm kind of sheltering in Carrizozo, Mexico. My house here with two grandchildren and another one on its way. Be later this month, I guess. So my daughter's telling me. So it's kind of different retirement than I had planned. 4-year-olds are really hard to keep up with. That's where I find myself at this point. They are out of the house, so I won't have to be on mute very much this time around. Let's jump to one of the new people here. Maria, you want to introduce yourself and just give us a little quick?
Sure. My name is Maria Gutierrez. I live in the Downs. I've lived in Ruidoso for almost 20 years now. I have 4 kids. They're all doing the online classes and all that fun stuff. I also have a 4-year-old that I didn't put him in pre-K this year. I was previously a pre-K teacher with Ruidoso River Raccoons, and I usually stay home with my kids when they're born, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just riding the wave.
Welcome to the meeting. I hope it gives you a little bit of a break from the 4-year-old.
A little bit, yes, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Aaliyah, why don't you go next?
Welcome.
Me?
Yes.
Hi, Aaliyah Miles. I have been born and raised in Ruidoso, and my husband and I decided to come back and settle and raise our family here. And I have 2 kiddos, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and probably hear them in the background. And I coach gymnastics here in the Downs, and I'm pretty involved with that, and just trying to be involved with as much as possible to support our community and our children, especially during this season of COVID we're in. So
okay, well, it's good seeing you again.
Good as well, thank you.
Okay. You're checking these off. Tim, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Tim Lewis. I actually know our new members well, and I'm glad that they're here. And happy to see your face. I am currently a secretary of one meeting. So that was the first approval of minutes I've had, so I'm pretty excited about that. I am a speech therapist here in town, and I work actually now for Region 9. I used to work at Ruidoso for quite a few years, but I'm a speech therapist with Region 9 working in Cloudcroft and doing online therapy right now. I have always loved the library and was really excited to get involved with something that I thought was going to be, super fun. And it was super fun. And then now we're in COVID, so it changed a lot of what we're doing, but we're really excited that you all are here. And so I appreciate you all being here very, very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim. Leroy?
Sure, hi. My name is Leroy Smith. I've been in Ruidoso, I think about 7 years now, but I've been coming here all my life. Realtor by trade, but lifelong lover of books, and been involved with nonprofits for as long as I can remember. My wife and I try to stay pretty involved and on a handful of boards: the Chamber of Commerce, the Realtor Board, the Community Foundation. My wife's on the Humane Society boards. We have wear a lot of hats, I guess. We don't have kids, but we do stay busy. I'll say that much. But just to echo the other thoughts of welcome, Sarah and Maria. Glad to have you. It's great to see new faces, new blood, and energy. And I'm actually excited for this year. I feel like the light's at the end of the tunnel finally, and it's going to be a good one.
Okay. And Sarah?
I am Sarah Ames Brown, and I moved to Ruidoso when I was about 3, and I've pretty much been here since. I left for some time to go to college in Las Cruces, and then moved back with my husband. We both teach at the high school, and I taught in Capitan before I taught in Ruidoso, and Aaliyah was actually my student. Maybe twice, yeah. I grew up in the library as a kid, and I think that it's really important for our community. And I want to advocate for kids in the Downs to get their hands on more books. So thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you aboard. Is that everybody, or Diane? You wanna, I guess we all know who you are.
Well, I hope so by now. I'm Diane Staub, also known as Denise. I'm the library supervisor and doing manager/director duties until the position is opened up and filled. We're working with 4 people here at the library right now, doing our best to make sure everybody still gets their books, and we can do a little bit of virtual programming and such for the community. I've been here for about 5 years, and I've been working in libraries for about 23.
Okay, well.
And I would like to say welcome to everybody. We appreciate you, and we love that you want to be a part of the library.
Yes. Okay, that is everybody, or is there, we have
Susan?
Oh, Susan, yeah, Susan's there.
Should we hear from Miss Leonard?
Hi, I'm Susan Lutterman, raised here as well, went to high school all through, first through high school, and it was such a long time ago that back then I didn't even have kindergarten. So I'm the liaison for the council, and I just wanted to let you know how much the mayor and the council appreciate each one of you being on this board. I'm a reader, always have been. To me, it opens up people's lives, changes them. So thank you so much for serving. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much.
No, you're quite welcome. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the open meetings resolution for 2021. Is there, Diane or Denise, Diane, is there any, has there been any changes to this document from what we agreed to this time last year?
Nothing has changed except for the resolution number to make it good for this year.
Okay, guess we need to have do we need to have a motion to adopt this?
Yes, we do.
Okay, would anybody care to make that motion?
I move to adopt the Ruidoso Public Library resolution declaring reasonable notice. Oh, excuse me. What's it called? Oh, the opens meeting resolution for 2021. Excuse me.
Okay, I guess I should ask if there's any discussion. Anybody that read through it has anything, maybe a new set of eyes looking at it, if there's been anything that is of difference, but this is the same resolution that we pretty much pass every year. Do I have a second?
A second?
Okay, that's okay, so it's been seconded. All in favor of passing the resolution, you indicate by saying aye, signaling aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, now you need some signatures on this. How do we want to handle that? Do you,
James, if you would do an electronic signature and then send it to Tim, and then he can electronically sign the same copy, and then he can forward that to me, and then I will sign it and get it over to Village Hall.
okay, I guess I have the document. How do I do the electronic signature?
That I am not completely sure of.
Okay, well, let me check into it. If you need a problem. Tim?
This is Leroy. I can set it up if you need to. I have access to an electronic signature program. I just need your email. I think I have them.
Okay, Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. And I guess we need to get it to back to Denise by what, later this week? That'd be
Later
good?
this week is fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, that brings us down to nominations and election of new officers. I told Denise I had been serving as president of this board for about 10 years through a number of different directors. And I felt like it might be time for some new leadership, just a chance to do that, although I don't want to abandon the board. So hopefully I'll be able to remain on board. Sounds like for the next year and a half or so in my current term. So I'd like to ask if anybody is interested. I guess I should just ask if anybody's interested in serving as the president of the board. Accept nominations from any of you. You can nominate yourself.
I nominate, how do I do this? How do we do this officially? I move to nominate Leroy Smith, president.
Leroy Smith. Okay, so we have Leroy Smith. Is Leroy Smith willing?
I was going to nominate Tim.
Okay, well, fair. We can vote on it.
I'd be glad to do my part. I'm a director on 2 boards and president of the chamber next year, so I'd really like to just be on the board this year, but I'd happily take a higher position next year if that's a possibility.
Okay, well, we also have a vacancy for vice president, which would serve in the case that the president wasn't here. So can we assume that Tim, you're willing to serve as president?
Yes, I am. Yeah, okay. Especially when Leroy puts it like that.
Thank you.
Okay, and so we have Tim for president. We have Leroy for vice president. That leaves the secretary's position, which is sometimes the hardest one to fill. Tim, you're your current secretary, and you've been secretary for one whole meeting, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
James, you might want to call a vote on those.
Yeah. So we started at the top and then kind of moved down throughout, right?
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to assemble a ballot here, but okay. Let's go ahead and do that each one individually then. We have a nomination for Tim for president of the board. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Tim, congratulations.
Ooh.
Okay. Now, we have a nomination for vice president of Leroy.
And then James, you need to, and then so Tim's the president now, so.
Oh, that's right.
So Tim takes over.
Oh, Tim takes over at this point?
You're gonna regret that then.
He took your job just like that.
Took your job, man.
That was quick.
So okay, I'm gonna ask for nominations for vice chair then, vice president.
I nominate Sarah.
I don't really know what to do, but I'm happy to try.
Do we have any other nominations? Okay. How did you do that? Let's see. So, call for vote, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
All those in favor. Thank you. All those in favor of Sarah Ames Brown for vice chair, indicate for me.
Aye.
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 Okay. Welcome, Sarah, as a first-time meeting participant and now vice chair of the board.
Thank you.
And so moving on to what are our other divisions? We have secretary. I'm calling for nominations for secretary of the board.
I nominate Aaliyah for secretary of the board.
No, thank you.
You're not able to do that, Aaliyah?
No, I don't.
Okay. Any other
I'm afraid
nominations
I
for
will
secretary?
not be able to have the time to do that. Thank you, and I appreciate the nomination. Respectfully declined.
I would nominate Maria.
You have a nomination for Maria?
I guess if nobody's up for the job, I'll take it for as long as I can handle it. And I will tell you I'm very
Don't
busy
believe this is
also, but I will try my
I don't think
best.
that's the first time it's been said.
But I will try my best.
Just to let you know, we do have, it's pretty straightforward on how to doing the secretary, doing the notes. And this is for anybody, if Maria doesn't want to do it. And also now, especially now that we have the YouTube recording, we can always go back through and get that information. So it's a lot easier to have that available. And I also, when I'm doing it, I record this audio so that I can go back and make sure it doesn't take super long.
Okay.
That being said, are there any other nominations for secretary? Okay, so all in favor of Maria Gutierrez for secretary for the library board, indicate with an aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And then, do we have another position? That's the one. What are the positions do we have?
Those are the only three.
Okay, make sure. Okay, so there we have it. Writing this down.
Thank you to all three of you.
But yes, thank you all, appreciate it. I really did not mean for you to start this and get pulled into as an officer, but I appreciate it, and again, it is a lovely thing to be a part of. I do. I'm glad to see your faces for doing that. So then that means the nominations and elections of that have been complete. We have a new board leadership, so we can move on to the next item, which is the discussion on book pantries.
Tim, can I ask a quick question?
Please.
Since we lost a member, or do we have a cap, or I mean, we can keep adding board members, right? Or suggesting them to the mayor? Is that how it works?
Actually, we're capped at 7 members.
Okay.
So we have 1 position open. I'm on liaison as well as Susan Leatherman. We are liaisons with the village, and so the actual members is 7.
Okay.
The Paul's position is open, and so we have 1 open.
So I guess I would just suggest that if anyone has anyone in mind, send them an application.
Right, because the mayor is aware that we don't have another, so he's looking.
Okay. So, Diane, say that again. So just to be clear on how the process went, or how that should go. If someone in the board does know someone, or that somebody is interested, we should direct them to that application and to you, or how should we do that?
I would like both, because I would prefer to be aware of who is applying. So maybe I can know a little bit about them. So if the mayor has some questions, I can answer those questions for him.
Okay. So that we'll indicate that as well. So if you guys do have someone that you are thinking about at this point, this could be anyone, please forward that to Diane. And that application can be found, the 2 new members have probably most recently seen it, but that can be found on the village website. All right.
I have a technical question. I don't want to be moving backwards here, but for the Open Meetings Advisory Board, for the Open Meetings Resolution, the signature there is for the chairperson and the secretary signatures. Since we passed it while I was president, I assume it still requires my signature, or does it require Tim's signature? Because it's for the next year.
since it was passed while you were president, we have you go ahead and sign it as the
Okay.
president and Tim as the secretary.
Okay. Okay, that was just occurred to me that.
That's a good question. Good question. Okay, and so then moving on to discussion on book pantries. I don't have the information on this. This is from.
This came from a patron, Ann Spence. She thought that it might be a good idea if we were able to develop book pantries. They're similar to the chuck wagons that we have for food, but these would be books that people could go to the little pantry and see what books are in there and choose one or two and then replace it if they have other ones to replace it with. So it's kind of like a book exchange, but they would be little pantries that are put out at various places in town. She suggested the Links as one of the places to be. And I told her that I bring it to the board and that we have a discussion about it. But I also let her know that right now we are only doing curbside service. We're not letting any patrons in the building right now. So I know that books have a difficulty with needing to be quarantined when they come back to the library to ensure that there's no passing of COVID.
I have a technical question on a couple of things on that. One, is that still the case? Because my understanding was that and I'm not trying to supersede any village rulings, but contact at this point, like physical things, are the information now is that that's not as detrimental as was first understood. Does that make sense?
I understand.
So are we still in that same realm?
For us, we just look at the idea, can it contain the virus or not? We're not looking at if it's more likely or not. We're just looking at the fact that if you don't quarantine for at least 3 days, it can still have the virus on it. So we quarantine for 3 days.
Okay.
To ensure that the virus is no longer left on the book.
Okay, all right. So then my second part of this is when they're talking about the kiosks, there's a couple of different things out there. One, there's something that's called little libraries, which is a not really a specific organization, but it's a concept that's out there right now, and they build different little kiosks or different things, kind of like the chuck wagon food service that we have. And in a lot of towns, there's all sorts of things that they've built up. I believe that the superintendent's wife at one point had some throughout the county, and she had used old newspaper boxes, which I thought was fairly clever. I don't know if she's still doing that. But she may have some of those available. My question on this is, are we talking about something where it's a free book to go home with them and not come back? These are not library books. These are basically books that can be used in any way they see fit, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
She was talking not about library books themselves,
Okay.
just books that would go home and stay with the people. And whoever is responsible for the pantry would ensure that the books stayed stocked.
Okay. So this is just off of the top of my head. Can everybody hear me? It sounded a little odd. Would it be possible to do some sort of drop and then have someone pick them up and possibly quarantine them, then put them back in? Anything that was coming in to be dropped and quarantined for those, I guess you said you were doing 3 days, and then put them back available for the kids or the community.
That's a good idea, and I believe that right now it would be very difficult for us at the library to be responsible for doing that. We only have 4 employees right now, and that's just not really possible for us to go out there to ensure that that takes place. Anytime somebody just browses them, there's the possibility if that person has COVID, that it's left on
Right.
the book.
Right.
I think that this is a very needed thing in our community right now. And there's not a place. I have many people have come to ask me, is the library accepting books? Will they take donations? And as far as my knowledge is no at this time. Is that correct?
That's correct, simply because of the fact that we're not open
Right.
to the public and we don't have storage space to store them.
Yes, ma'am. So with that knowledge, I do agree that this is a great idea. And I believe that there are already a few book pantries in Ruidoso. There's one in Midtown, one at the Smoky Bear Ranger Station in the Garden area. But just possibly having volunteers or figuring out a way to make these structures and placements, just like the chuck wagons were created, and then it's for the community to use at their leisure and to take one, leave one as needed. And that way that there's a place for all these books that I have a box in my garage that I have no good place to put besides the chuck wagons, which is a great place, but this would be just another extended avenue to get those books in more people's hands and people have a place to exchange. And then that responsibility with COVID and whatnot is on them, their responsibility, not the library's responsibility, just as the chuck wagons are. So the library is not going to be responsible, I believe, on quarantining the books. You guys don't have the staff, the time. Put that in place for the community and let the community use that resource. That's what I wanted to say.
Is there any liability there? I think it's a good idea to do sooner than later. I think kids could use them, but is there any way that the library could be liable for, any COVID transmission that could be linked to that?
If we're not a part of them, as in we're not putting the money out to have them built and being a part of ensuring that they're stocked, no, we would not have liability for that.
Would the library be able, I'm sorry, Tim, would the library be able, because I know there's a lot of discarded books that happen as you guys are going through circulation. That might be a great avenue for library to put those discarded books in, but not necessarily go much beyond that in liability. You could even put a sign at your own risk. Or
quarantine your books for a certain amount of days, probably.
Recommendation.
Well, I'm not even sure that that's at this point. The wagon, the chuck wagon still exists, and there's still food and there's still movement in back and forth. And at this point, like I'm saying, I think that the science has been clarified where that transmission, although we are taking a nice safeguard for village resources, I don't believe that that's the highest or much of any transmission at this point. Like physical contact like that from other services has been found to be far less of an issue than it was when we first started all of this. So the chuck wagon is still working. The other book things are still working. We have newspapers and boxes. We have all sorts of things that we're still doing with our hands, and those have not been found to be a large contribution to any of what's going on right now. So I don't think, it sounds like though that if this would be almost a secondary thing, it wouldn't necessarily be a library thing then if we put it together, which is fine. I'm curious also if it's something we might want to discuss with the friends of the library as potentially a joint effort. My other organization is the Sierra Blanca Bookshare Project, and we have some books that we would be very willing to put into those when we get them in, and we would even take books. We can take them now, so if people do have an excess, we can take those and have those available for that project. And we would be very willing to do that if we wanted to take that away from centralizing it with the library. I still think we should have something on there that not advertises, but celebrates the library in some way, or gives them some information about how to get involved with the library. If that would be something that we could do.
That sounds like an excellent idea to incorporate just some library promotion stuff with it, but leaving the actual support of the exchange of the books would not involve library materials.
Right. I'm curious about, and I don't have any, we used to have a member that was on our board that was also on the board or the committee for the Friends of the Library, but she has left. So I don't know, is somebody here still a part of that, or how do we get, I would have to get in contact with them.
I'm a part of that.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So that's something you can talk with them about? Okay. Good.
And I can also give them your information so they can be in contact with you and y'all can discuss more about what's going on.
Okay. And then at that point, I think it'd be nice, obviously not under any obligation for board members to do this, but, if you go and you do see that it's empty, let either me, or if you want to stuff some books in there, that's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think what we probably need to do is determine where we could put it. And I don't know, I think that's, there's a couple of logistic things that we probably need to figure out before, I imagine we could get something built fairly with very little problem. But it would be a question of placement, and if that would be something that we need to do or connect with the village, Ms. Lerman, in some way to understand how that works.
Yeah, I would think that, the parks would be a great place because that's where people gather. And, if you have it close to where the chuck wagons are already, that would be a very easy place for people. They already know where they are. So we can look into that for sure.
I think it would be great to have one at the Ruidoso Downs Senior Center and the All-American Park.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
I like that idea a lot. So what I would suggest, to not take up a lot of time today, is, and again, my Robert's rules are not great, but my idea was, then do we basically form a committee that can work on the logistics of finding out where, maybe not starting with a whole bunch, maybe starting out with one or two, and figuring out how to get it with approved or whatever we need to do with the village or the Downs, and how that would work. I don't know how you start that. I would move to make a committee. Is that a thing? Again, I don't know.
I certainly don't mind talking to Parks and Rec and Tim, along with Diane. We can figure out if we can get that done. I can't imagine why we wouldn't be able to. So we can do that immediately. I'll work on that immediately.
And so since that's a committee, an action for what would be a committee, you call it the book pantry or the little library, committee. We can communicate that through email about what we're doing with that, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mind calling the Downs City office and asking what we would need to do to start that process.
Okay, great. Then I will send out an email to everyone and kind of list out some of these things that we're going to be doing, and we'll work on that, and then we'll get an update on our next. If something happens, we'll get an update, but we'll update for sure at the next meeting. Does that sound good for everyone?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. Next we have the library manager director report that we did get in an email. Did you want to, Diane, go over some of those points with us?
Sure, I can do that. One thing, we're staying pretty steady with our curbside service. The last week or so, it has been going a little bit higher than normal, which we're very happy to see. Our overdrive usage has definitely increased with over COVID. It went from being about 600 a month to now stays pretty steady at 1,000 to 1,100 a month for our ebooks and e-audios. There's different things that we're working on right now. Well, it's the time of the year where we start doing our strategic planning. So the library is doing planning for our strategic planning session that we're going to have with the village. That includes our own personal library goals, which I've been working on with the staff. The strategic planning that we had last year, I don't know how many have the information of what we put forward last year, but nothing has changed on that list. I just updated it a little bit. I didn't send that out to anybody. Just something I was letting y'all know, which includes the replacement of the HVAC system. We did replace the motor the first quarter, and so it is working, but we cannot change the temperature in the library. It stays at the same temperature. We're also looking at programming for homebound, but we really can't get that off the ground until after COVID, simply because it's very difficult to know who exactly is truly homebound at this point. We're working on summer reading. It's already started. We're going to plan for a distance summer reading program, as well as a hybrid, as well as making sure that those programs can be converted into an in-person program if we are allowed to open before summer reading begins. I think those are pretty much the biggest highlights of what's going on. I did put in for E-rate for category 2 items, which is switches, battery backups, and cabling, as well as Wi-Fi access points. We have gotten bids, and by the end of the week, we will have decided who is going to get the bid. So we will be upgrading our cabling and switches, as well as our adding Wi-Fi access points at the library. We've been reading. We've gotten all of the adult nonfiction readed, and we're going to start on the fiction area. We did get a complete inventory done of the whole library. Downstairs, they are pretty much finished with their reading and are working on replacements in areas that need to be upgraded. And I think that's the basic highlights. Does anybody have any questions after reading my report?
I have a question on where the books are going that are being weeded.
Right now, we are storing them in boxes. We are, however, starting to do downstairs for the youth services. They're starting to do book bundles, where kids who reserve books, they'll get their books that they reserved plus a book bundle. And we are looking for adult who might be interested in the various areas that we've weeded. We have, and if they are, we can get books out for them and do a book bundle for them as well. But that's where we're at with those books right now.
I was wondering about the conversion to Windows. Is that progressing, or where is that at the very start of the plan, or?
We're still at the start of the plan because we had to finish off our 2016 GO bonds first before we can spend the 2018. And so I'm going to be working with our IT people to get another quote. We did get a quote before. It wasn't quite what we were looking for. So I'm going to ask them for a new quote to see if we can get that done with our GO bond funds for 2018.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I had a question that maybe Mrs. Letterman can help us. I believe the last time we had our meeting, I brought up what the village's quotas were, or in question of that, of when the library, any foresight on when we might be able to have it back open in any way, because I remember you had said, Mrs. Staub, about it was kind of bound by what the village was putting in place, not necessarily the library or the state, more per village. So I was wondering if we could get any clarity or foresight on that.
Aaliyah, I'm going to say it's going to be a while. I don't know. We'll definitely just have to take this one step at a time. And everybody wants to get everything back opened, and especially the library. But at this time, I don't foresee, I don't know, if we go to green, if our county goes to green, we might have a chance. But until we get pretty much people start getting vaccinated, I would think that the library's going to stay closed.
I don't know, and is the green where the library is able to open? Is there any percentage in yellow?
No, even with the restaurants opening up, the library didn't. I honestly, I think that the village is just being very cautious and careful, not only for the people going into the library, but also for the employees. And yeah, I apologize. I don't remember. I don't think I was at the last meeting. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I will get a clarification from the mayor and from Tim Dodge, and we'll talk with Diane, and then I will let everybody know in an email. I do apologize if I dropped the ball on that.
You were not
No worries at all. Thank you.
I believe I partially dropped the ball on that. I did try to explain with everyone that we do go by what the village wants, but I wanted to clarify as well that the New Mexico State Library is not even open to their staff. They are all working remotely from home. The libraries that I know that are open, such as Capitan, they are not affiliated with a municipality. And so they go with the restaurants, and they can go ahead and be open at 25% capacity. All other libraries that are part of a village or a municipality, they have curbside service going on. So I just wanted to clear that.
And to clarify, in this state currently, there is one county that is at yellow. All other counties are in red. So it's, at this point, this is all over.
And that's true. And that's why all of Lincoln County this week, we're trying to get all of the municipalities in Lincoln County to do more testing, because we did that right before Christmas. We did a lot of testing, and our positivity rate went down vastly. It was amazing how much it went down. So that's what we're trying to do, is get people to test so that our positivity rate will go down. And it can't be just Ruidoso. It's got to be City of Ruidoso Downs, Capitan, Hondo, Carrizozo, it's Corona. It's got to be all of us working together. And that kind of went off the subject a little bit, but that's really what the Village of Ruidoso is focused on, is getting people tested so our positivity rate goes down, so that yellow or green, we can start opening back up.
Okay. Any more questions on this area? We're going to move forward. I will say on that one last note, there are now vaccines being delivered to Ruidoso and Lincoln County. You can go on to the site cvvaccine at .nmhealth.org and register for that. So as soon as they are available for whatever level you're at, you can make an appointment to get that done.
And it's very important to get registered. You can't get one without being registered. So, any people that and especially older people, it's very important for us to help them get registered.
And with that, is there any other business to discuss for the board? Okay, it is 12:50. I would move to adjourn this meeting.
I have one last comment. Just to let everyone know, we will be able to meet in person at the convention center for our March meeting, if that is all right with everyone.
We were able to meet as a board, as a council, yesterday for the first time since March.
Oh, wow.
So it was nice. Everything spread out, and so I think everybody will be okay.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just on that idea, my position has changed. So quite frankly, Zoom has been very helpful for this. I probably won't be able to be in town during meetings. I work out of town when we get into that next level. So I'm hoping that what we can do is when we do get to that point, Diane, that we can work out something where people can still participate remotely.
Absolutely. We'll be able to do that easy.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so again, I'm going to move to adjourn at 12:52. I appreciate everything, and if we have other questions, we can bring those up for additional discussions later. And again, I want to thank Sarah and Maria for not only joining, but being a part of our leadership in the board. And with that, we are all finished. Thank you guys so very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Maria. Oh, she was gone. I'll get her.
I'm still here.
Oh,
Tim.
hey, Maria. Oh.